Alright, so we're going to talk about Lorcana. And if there's anything I know less than Pokemon, it's Lorcana. I mean, obviously, we all know about Disney characters. But I don't really know how the game plays. There's some sort of story mechanic, and I've heard that it plays very similar to Magic the Gathering, or exactly the same as Magic the Gathering. I'm not really sure. But the cards are nice looking, and people are excited about it. And first chapter was really, really good for stores. The later sets we'll get into, not so much. So we'll get into the competitive scene because this is where Lorcana shines. When I was looking up this stuff and the amount of conventions they were at and the amount of like tournaments that they had and official championships and stuff like that. Well, they don't have an official championship yet, but they had a bunch of tournaments at all kinds of places all around the world. So they're really rocking that out. Like they're doing it at Disney resorts and they're doing it at Spiel, and a bunch of the big conventions around the world. But they announced the first official competitive circuit will be called the Disney Lorcana Challenge, and it'll start in May of 2024. So that kind of already started, and they'll have separate North American, European circuits, and then the top 4 players from each regional challenge will earn the chance to qualify for the North American or European Championship events, and they take place during the holiday season, so they've already taken place. Or maybe they're bleeding into next year. I'm not really sure. But the Disney Lorcana World Championships will be invite-only and are due to take place at a large open event in early 2025. I don't know whether that'll be D23, but it says open event. Well, maybe that's not an open event venue because it would have to be in summer and somewhere where there's no wind for card games. But anyways, it's really exciting, and given the amount of effort they've put into all the convention stuff that they've been doing, I'm hopeful that it'll be a great championship event, and they're doing a great job in that regard. But they're not necessarily doing in the best regard is their releases, because I think that they're overprinting. So Into the Inklands came out in February. It sat on shelves. Ursula's Return, okay, so it sold initially, and then some of it sat on shelves, and then Ursula's Return came out, and a tiny bit of it got sold, and then it sat on shelves. And then Shimmering Skies came out, so Ursula's was May, and Shimmering Skies was in August. And I think by that point, yeah, a lot of Inklands and Ursula's had then been bought up, and then Shimmering Skies sat for a bit, but it actually sold within like a month or two, I think, and now there's not much on shelves. And now Azure Sea has come out in November, and it's still sitting on shelves. So Lorcana doesn't have the same kind of sell-through rate that like Pokemon and Magic have, in that set comes out, whatever you purchase, you're probably going to burn through 80% of it, and then you're going to have some on shelves for a bit. And in Pokemon's case, when it gets really hot, it kind of just doesn't stay on shelves at all, and then you just have empty shelves. And that's what it was like for first chapter, but once they overprinted first chapter, they just kept printing it, and Floodborne, it kind of took the wind out of the sails of the excitement of buying the game. So a lot of people who were in it to collect may have taken a few steps back. And yeah, there's lots of players. There's tons of Lorcana players from what I've heard. And like I said, they've been doing a great job at the convention circuit, and they've set up this world championship for 2025. So that's great. But I think they're still printing too much of it. So it sells in spurts. Like I said, first chapter sold out, and then the later sets, they kind of stay there after selling a little bit, and then maybe in a few months you can sell it all, which I guess is okay, but not quite the same, as I said, as Pokemon and Magic. So overall, I'd say the year was okay for Lorcana, and the sales didn't, necessarily, they weren't the hottest, but the game isn't going to collapse, and that's mostly thanks to, as I said, Ravensburger attending so many conventions and other events and really getting the game out there, and also having a strong IP. So I think the game peaked unless the supply of the product is better balanced, and because game stores might reduce their exposure to it. So that's it for Lorcana. I nearly had a sneeze there. If there's more that you want me to know about Lorcana, or there's more that you want me to cover with Lorcana, let me know. And we'll go to the next one. It's going to be Flesh and Blood. So check that one out in a few days.